Hi, this is Simon Lovell, the Modern Spiritual Man, bringing you growth in under 10 minutes. And as always, please do subscribe to the channel. Also, hit that bell to make sure that you get updates. Now, in this video, I'm going to be talking about internet trolls, internet haters, and giving you a different perspective shift. Also, how to handle internet trolls and internet haters. But also, this video is for the internet troll and the internet hater because I want people to heal and to be able to transcend their negative behaviors, right? So the other day I posted a Facebook ad, and on that ad there was a comment that said, "Modern spiritual man, ? You're not a man, get a job." Okay, and that was the statement. So let's break that down, okay? First of all, if someone's feeling good within themselves, right? If someone's feeling love for themselves, are they likely to write something like that? The answer is no. So just understand that in order for someone to write something negative, there's something negative going on within them, okay? That's typically why someone would do that. The other thing to mention, to be fair, which is that comment may have not come the following day. Why? Because we all go through different emotions, all right? So if that person was feeling love in their heart the following day and they saw the same thing, maybe they wouldn't have commented, right? So we need to understand that we go through these different waves. Also, there's levels of consciousness, right? Levels of self-awareness. And when we understand levels of consciousness, it really helps in relationships, when it comes to internet trolls, when it comes to business, whatever, right? Because we understand that someone is operating at a certain level of consciousness and self-awareness, and we rise over time as we get exposed to different things, we're around different people, we read, we educate ourselves, we have mentors and coaches so that we can see the things that we can't see ourselves, right? Like our behavior, like how we're acting, whether we're being stubborn, all of these number of things. So that's the first thing I want to touch on. The next thing is, well, how do we handle that situation? So when I saw the comment, my natural reaction was wanting to go and write back. But because I have self-awareness, I didn't take that action. What you'll notice with internet haters, internet trolls, is that often there's a snap, very short window time, and then they take action on the thoughts that they have, right? So they see something, they don't like it, or it doesn't match with their values, and therefore there's no space of awareness in between the thought and the action, which is the writing, right? So if an internet troll or internet hater was to see something and then they were to pause for a few moments, right? Understand the impact that that might have on someone, the implications of that, right? How it would make them feel, and then they were to understand, well, if someone did that to me, would I like that feeling? Would I enjoy that feeling? And they were to see that perspective and that space was there, they probably wouldn't take the action, right? So what do we do in that situation? Well, first of all, we need to notice that the trigger is happening, right? We need to notice that, well, someone's commented something, someone's said something. Now let me take some time. I need some space before I make my decision on how to react to that, all right? So my instinctual reaction was to write something back. Now the trouble if we do that is that we're gonna match typically with the same energy, right? Someone writes something negative, right? And it's a certain energy, and then we match that. And what happens in that situation is you have a fight, right? And then that can go on and on and on. And suddenly you've spent an hour in a conversation with someone that really isn't going to change their perspective. They want to be right, and they only see something from their point of view, right? So when we create the space and we take time, then what we can do is we can say, okay, I'm not going to feed into that same level of energy, okay? I can actually step back and recognize that the trigger within me is maybe something that I need to address within me. Why am I triggered by this? Now, if we read something and we don't at all believe it, then we're just going to, just laugh it off, right? So let's say I was walking down the street and some person just randomly, who I didn't know, said, "You look like an alien." Well, if I believed it, then I'm going to get frustrated and be like, what the hell? But it's just ridiculous to me, right? That someone would say that I'm an alien, right? So I'm just going to laugh it off and be like, hey, maybe they're not okay within themselves, and just kind of create space for me to be able to walk away. So if we are subject to internet trolling or internet hate, we have to have the self-awareness to go, okay, if someone's writing something and that triggers something within us, are we believing what they're saying? Because honestly, internet trolling, internet hating can be a massive amount of personal growth if we don't go into reaction and we look at why we're being triggered and why we actually maybe believe that, right? So if someone creates a statement and then we go into that reaction, really start to address and think about, oh, is there a part of me that truly believes that? Is there something that needs to be healed? Is there something that needs to be reframed? And so we can use it as a gift, all right? Now, one of the best things that you can do also is just declutter yourself from people. So I use this analogy of, putting cinnamon out for ants, right? Which is someone presents themselves, right, to be a certain way. Well, we can give them a second chance, right? Or we can just block and delete, right? In our news feed, especially over social media, if there's things that are, twice come into my news feed from the same person and in my body, it's taking my energy away, I'm just gonna block and remove, right? So that I don't get observed, or I'm not observing that, right? There's a great quote from Jim Rohn that says, you've got to be guard of the things that go in your mind, right? So we have to be careful of our environment outside of social media, but we also need to be very careful of our environment within social media, okay? So, okay, what about the situation where you think to yourself, well, I do want to say something back, right? Because maybe I want to defend myself. If you're going to do that, understand that the reaction that you may get may not be what you expect, right? Because that person is in a certain mental state, right? If they're in a different mental state, they may react differently. So recognize that how you go in and your intent is going to be everything. So your intent and your expectations, because if you write something with the expectation that it's going to resolve, something amazing is going to happen, right? That may not happen, but it's a great intent to have that intention, right? Something that you might want to do is ask a question, right? If you're going to respond with something, the most powerful thing that you can do if you are going to respond is to ask a question. So I'm curious, I'm wondering why you would write that question mark. What that's going to do is it's going to get someone to think, all right? And then typically, sometimes what happens is there's no response, or the response that you might get, depending, once again, on their level of state, right, and how they feel in that moment, is going to shift. Sometimes, typically not, right? Sometimes there can be a massive turnaround and it can be massive growth, right, for people. But typically that happens with people who already know each other. Internet trolling, internet hate happens from people that, they don't know that person and they wouldn't say that to someone's face, right? And so the internet is a really, easy place for someone to, feel better in a given moment. It's actually not doing that for the person, right? The best thing that person can do if they see something that they don't like is just move on to something that they do like, right? So there's a massive learning here for everybody, right? Ourselves, the person that's doing it, but we also need to have compassion. Compassion for the person doing that, understanding that they're in a stage of their life where they don't feel, right, something within them, which is why they need to write something negative, right, to feel a certain way. Power, significance, right, any number of things. And so there's healing that needs to happen, all right? So when I see negative comments and spiteful comments and, horrible comments from people, it's just a signal to me of how much more healing needs to happen in the world, right? And some of those comments can be a gift. For example, that comment that I had on my Facebook ad has produced this video. It gave me an idea. So it could have been destructive for me and it could have shut me down, or it could have created an idea. And so we have a choice. And that's the other thing I wanted to mention, which is we all have a choice in a given moment with a comment, right, on what to do with it. Do we take an empowering choice or a disempowering choice? I'll see you in another video. As always, please subscribe and also hit that bell if you want to get updates as to my new videos. Also check out themodernspiritualman.com. I'll see you very soon.